Hello and welcome to Rainbow Islands, or the story of Bubble Bobble II, as it is called. I did not want to do a let's compare video of this game for a very obvious reason. In the previously uploaded video, the let's compare video of Bubble Bobble, the Commodore 64 version beat the Amiga version hands down. It will become evident that it is definitely not the case in the case of Rainbow Islands. The Commodore 64 version is definitely not bad, but yeah, you will see for yourself. I did not feel the need to. I'm very concerned about, because I mean, I have never denied the fact that the Amiga is my favorite home computer of all time, and I don't necessarily want people to believe that I have any favoritism concerning the system, because it happens to be my favorite system. As I've said time and time again, I am actually a lot more critical towards the Amiga than I would necessarily be towards the Commodore 64. And it's not in an overbearing way and saying, oh, it's just an 8-bit, it can't handle better, blah, 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 kind of stuff. Nothing to do with that. It is something to do with the fact that I have high expectations of Amiga versions of games. So I spend an awful lot of time explaining that, but I just want to absolutely clarify, I have no intention, illusions, satisfaction, or anything from mocking the Commodore 64 in any way, shape, or form. It is a system I've fully enjoyed every aspect of. I just prefer the Amiga, plain and simple. So now we can actually, after reaching level 3, start talking about the game itself. After removing the curse of being turned into bubble dragons in Bubble Bobble, the boys are now out to defeat a big nasty dragon at the end of Island 7, 8, something like that. And this time around, because of course they can no longer blow bubbles, they have decided to learn to throw rainbows. The rainbows are both used as a navigational tool and as a way of defeating enemies, and you can defeat the enemies in one of two ways. Either by letting the enemies get hit by the star of the rainbow, or having the enemies underneath the rainbow when you jump on the rainbow in order to knock it down. That will catch the enemies and knock them out, converting them into some sort of bonus. And the rainbows have different parts. The red flasks will, or red potion I should say, will add an extra rainbow up to a maximum of 3, and the yellow potion will allow you to cast the rainbows faster. Something to be said about that is that the rainbows will fade after a while, they will not stay up infinitely. Double and triple rainbows seem to fade quicker than single rainbows, but also the sped up versions of the rainbows seem to fade quicker than the non-sped up versions of the rainbows. Does that make any sense? That is not to say that you would ever want to have the slow cast version of the rainbows, because the levels will definitely dictate that you will want to get your rainbows out as quickly as possible. The different islands you are navigating are themed after a certain theme. Intelligent. And the first island is an insect island, and of course the boss at the end of that is a big nasty spider. And I'm not playing optimally. I'm sorry about that. I'm just rushing too much. It's a bit silly. Each island consists of 4 levels, and as you can quite clearly see, there's a boss at the end of level 4. Once you've defeated the said boss, you will get some point drops, and depending on how many gems you've picked up, in the case of this level, we completed the gems down the bottom of the screen. And that is an important mechanic that I'll come back to in a moment. But of course, after defeating the boss, you will move on to the next world or next island. And Island 2 is the combat island, which is themed around planes and tanks and cannons and that kind of stuff. Obviously in a cutesy way, because this is Bubble Bobble 2. If you were to defeat the game, or beat the game, I should say, the different levels, you will only reach the true ending if you get the different gems on each island. There are 7 differently colored gems, and completing the sequence will give you a 1-up, and it will also give you, once you defeat the boss at the end of the level, a gem. If you don't complete the sequence, you will get a fruit. It's got a similar point value, but it is, at the end of the day, only a fruit. To reach the true ending, you would need to have a gem from each level when you get to the end of it. So to be honest, while worrying about the gems and getting them sorted is beneficial for the purpose of getting an extra life, until you can reliably complete the game, you don't need to worry too much about it, because it's only relevant if you can actually beat the game in the first place. That being said, if you are to beat the game and then realize that you have only somewhat beat the game because you didn't get a gem on each individual island, can be a bit disheartening, I suppose, but yeah. The hurry-up mechanic in Rainbow Islands is the water will gradually rise once you get the hurry-up warning, and you should definitely get to the top of the level as quickly as you possibly can in order to avoid drowning. Obviously, that is also encouraging you to make mistakes, because you suddenly start panicking, and yeah, it is very easy to get panicky, but the key is to definitely calm down, don't rush it, take your time, and do what you need to do, because it is the stress factor that will cause you to make mistakes more than anything else, more often than not. As an arcade conversion, the Commodore 64 version is definitely not bad, but I don't know. In my opinion, Bubble Bobble is definitely the superior game compared to Rainbow Islands when it comes to the Commodore 64. Not bad at all, but it just doesn't have the same sense of excellence and completeness as I find in Bubble Bobble. So let's switch to the Amiga version of Rainbow Islands. And here are the guilty parts. I say guilty parts like it's a bad thing. The Amiga version of Rainbow Islands is actually rather excellent. If I consider Bubble Bobble to be one of the best Commodore 64 arcade conversions, I would say that the Amiga version of Rainbow Islands is the equivalent on the Amiga. It is an absolute excellent game, and I cannot say whether arcade perfect, arcade accurate. It's completely relevant. The relevance is the fact that The game is extremely enjoyable to play. It looks very, very nice. I mean, it's again perhaps not the most graphic intensive game ever designed, but what's on display is easily recognizable, and it's crisp and clean. I don't necessarily know how it looks on modern resolutions, but I can guarantee you 140% that looking at a game like this on the original hardware on an original monitor, which of course were 14-inch monitors back in the time, looks absolutely razor sharp. It doesn't necessarily look overly brilliant on higher resolutions, but you have to take what you can get sometimes. The gameplay, surprise, surprise, is exactly the same. The colors are a lot more lively, and the gameplay flows an awful lot better, and it should. I mean, let's face it, this is supposed to be a 16-bit computer. It is supposed to have a higher capacity and capabilities than an 8-bit system. And to be honest, the differences between the two versions are gameplay-wise about the same, but in every other aspect, the reason I didn't want to do the comparison is I wouldn't want it to look like I was trying to make the Commodore 64 version or the Commodore 64 in general look bad, because that is never been my intention, and I'm tired of harping on about it. Anyone who's watching my videos by now should know I'm a gamer first, and I like good games, and I don't really care about what system they're on. But the Amiga version of Rainbow Islands is so superior to the Commodore 64 version, it's not even funny. Outside, of course, the graphical aspects and the sound aspects, these games are definitely possible to beat. You can beat them. Taking the time to get to learn the different levels is highly recommended. If you want to beat the game, obviously. If you don't have to care. And the enemies' spawns will be the same on all levels at all times, but some of them are moving quite randomly, and you need not only to know where they spawn, but you also need to know where they are most likely to move in order to avoid them or to rainbow them to death. Hey, 1-up for 100,000 points. You get 1-up for 100,000 points and 1 million points, and then you get 1-ups for each subsequent million points. Or you get 1-ups for gathering all 7 diamonds, gems, things. The first island is a bit cheesy, to be honest, because it is deceptively easy compared to some of the later islands. I wouldn't necessarily say that I feel this game's difficulty scales correctly. I mean, there's only a limited amount of islands, and of course the challenge has to somewhat increase, and here's what I mentioned earlier about not completing the gem sequence. You get a fruit instead, but loading the next level will pop out into the world map, and you will see if you have completed the level with a gem at the end, there will be a gem showing on top of the island you just beat. And you have to have a full gem sequence when you reach the last island in order to get the true ending of the game. But as I was saying, the difficulty scaling is not necessarily very nice, because I mean, Island 1 it's not too bad. Island 2 is not that horrible either, but then you start getting to Island 3, which is the Mount Island, where there's an awful lot of enemies that will move around very randomly. They will either chase you and fire stuff at you, or they will move around willy-nilly, making them quite difficult to predict. And in order to progress safely, you definitely want to take your time, but at the same time, you can't afford to take too much time, because once you get the hurry up, you need to hurry up, and yeah. I wouldn't necessarily say the game is unfair, but if you have an intention, illusion, dreams, whatever, of actually beating this game, you definitely need to take quite a significant amount of time to get to learn the different levels. Overall though, specifically the Amiga version, I absolutely love this game. I have spent many an hour playing this game, and after having finalized this recording, I played the game further and got much further, but you know what, I decided that having a 20-minute video was long enough. I could easily have put one of the other games recorded in, where I got past level, or the third island. I suppose I could just have made snippets, but you know what, I decided to just go with a single game played. The challenge, while it can be a bit daunting, it's also what causes you to come back, because often you will find that you are subconsciously encouraged to move a lot faster than you necessarily need to, and it's that aspect of not just wanting to rush through it, and the aspect of not panicking when the hurry up message plays, because yes, you do have to hurry up, but again, you don't have to hurry up that much. I mean, you don't want to linger, but you don't want to rush either. It's what is the term? Less haste, more speed, something like that. I don't know, but that seems very appropriate for this game. The graphics on the Amiga version is absolutely excellent. The sound design is absolutely excellent. I love the individual tunes, I love the individual sound effects. I should probably talk a bit about the graphics on the Commodore 64 version, but to be honest, I find that game to be too dark overall to be fully enjoyable. It's not bad, but the nature of the Commodore 64's default colors, they are excellent for what they are, but they are by default much more darkish in nature, and it works extremely well with certain games, but something like this game, which is supposed to be extremely bright, again, I'm not knocking the Commodore 64, and I'm not saying it wouldn't be possible to come up with some routine to mix and match colors in such a way that it would be possible to whatever, but natively the system doesn't lend itself to a very brightly colored game like Rainbow Islands. There's of course the Amiga version, or the Amiga, which with access to a lot more colors, is much more of a candidate for such a color palette. That being said, I mean, I've covered on quite a few games by now, and I have seen plenty of an Amiga game which colors and sound doesn't make for great games. There are some games which look beautiful, they sound great, but they still play like absolute arse. So, by and large though, I would definitely consider Rainbow Islands to be one of the best, if not the single best, arcade conversions made for the Amiga. And cutesy, frustrating, challenging little game. And yeah. Watch me screw up on the boss of the end of level 2. I shouldn't have screwed up, but forgetting that you also, if you push into the rainbows, you run on top of them. Yeah. Anyway, on that note, I'm going to say thanks for watching, take care, and see you next time. Bye bye for now.